Every ecosystem is made up of a bunch of different plants and animals. They're all there for a reason, and together keep their ecosystem healthy and in balance. The plants and animals that are naturally part of an ecosystem are called native species. Sometimes a plant or animal that is not a native species enters an ecosystem, and this can cause trouble.
If there's, say for example, a plant or an animal species that is introduced into an ecosystem that isn't found in the habitat naturally, sometimes it can take over. This is called pale swallowwort. One of the first occurrences of this plant in all of New York State was here in Monroe County back in 1897. And since then it has spread very rapidly and throughout much of central, western, and northern New York.
Pale swallowwort affects both native plants and animals. Since none of the animals eat it, it can spread out of control and not allow the native plants that are a source of food to grow. Living things that enter a new ecosystem and affect the native plants and animals already there are called invasive species.
So this here is purple loosestrife. Purple loosestrife grows in wetlands and riparian zones. So in wetlands where it's totally infested, very few other plants grow in there. And it can also change soil chemistry and soil nutrients within that wetland.
Purple loosestrife is another example of an invasive species that comes into a new ecosystem and takes over. Now, there are a lot of ways that invasive species get to a new ecosystem. Some were first used in yards for decoration. Others were brought in to be a new source of food. And many have been brought over accidentally by humans. Once invasive species have entered an ecosystem, there are several things that can be done to control them.
And one of the ways to combat purple loosestrife is to use biocontrol. Biocontrol is the release of agents, biocontrol agents, and in this case it's a little beetle that's released that will eat the vegetation and eat the leaves and lower the impacts of this plant. So it won't totally eliminate them, but it'll just lower their densities in a wetland.
So here we're at a fairly thick patch of pale swallowwort, and really the most effective way to control this patch is to apply a broadleaf herbicide to it that will kill this pale swallowwort plant, but will not harm the mosses and the native grasses that are growing here.
The folks at the Nature Conservancy are doing everything they can to control the problem, but the best way to protect an ecosystem from invasive species is to prevent them from spreading in the first place. Some things you can do to help are brushing off your clothes and boots before leaving a natural area, so you don't carry any seeds out of that ecosystem. That goes for your bike or canoe as well. If you decorate your home, garden, or school, use native plants. And most importantly, educate yourself. If you can recognize an invasive species, you can let a group like the Nature Conservancy know about it